Today we're checking out the brand new planeswalker coming out of Bloomburrow. We're going to see how good he might be and what signature spells might pair best with him. Crackling Wit costs 2 blue-red and starts at 4 loyalty. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, put a loyalty counter on Ral. +1, create a 1/1 blue and red Otter creature token with prowess. -3, draw 3 cards, then discard 2 cards. -10, draw 3 cards. You get an emblem with instant and sorcery spells you cast have Storm, which means whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, copy it for each spell cast before it this turn. And yes, Ral is an otter. From my understanding, when you planeswalk to Bloomburrow, if you're a human, you turn into an animal. Now, how good is this card? That's a good question. I'm not really sure. Obviously, this is going to be a spellslinger deck with lots of instants and sorceries to trigger the triggered ability and also the prowess on the otters. You could focus real hard on trying to get to that -10 ASAP, because that could be really good. Okay, let's talk signature spells. I usually check out what the most popular signature spells are for a planeswalker, but, it's a new card, so I can't do that. So let's just brainstorm some. And speaking of Storm, we've got some options that have Storm. Grape Shot deals 1 damage to any target. Empty the Warrens creates 2 1/1 red goblin creature tokens. And Elemental Eruption creates a 4/4 red dragon elemental creature with flying and prowess. If the rest of the deck is built with real low mana cantrip stuff that can really make the most of Storm, then these might be a good option to have in the command zone as signature spell. You can even give it double Storm if you get to that -10. Another option is having a ritual in the command zone, something that makes more mana than you spend to cast it. Great for upping your Storm count. These are some basic ones, but my favorite is Jessica's Will. A sorcery for 3. Choose one. If you control a commander as you cast the spell, you may choose both. Add red for each card in target opponent's hand. Exile the top 3 cards from your library. You may play them this turn. Or maybe Battle Him, an instant for 2. Add red to your mana pool for each creature you control. If you're going to be plussing Ral to get a whole bunch of prowess otters, maybe this would be good. I don't think a deck would be too creature heavy with Ral, but who knows. And last of the rituals is Inner Fire, a sorcery for 4. Add red to your mana pool for each card in your hand. Again, for the right deck, one that's going to be casting tons of draw spells, maybe this would be good. Next are the signature spell options that can up your Storm count and give you lots of triggers. Paradoxal Outcome is an instant for 4. Return any number of non-land, non-token permanents you control to their owner's hand. Draw a card for each card returned to your hand this way. I can picture a deck with lots and lots of 0 mana artifacts that can trigger Ral and trigger prowess. You cast all that stuff for free, then you cast the signature spell, bounce them all back to hand, draw that many cards, then cast them all for free again, and any other ones you drew. This will trigger Ral up to that 10, you can -10 him and get that emblem. And with a Storm count of like 8 or 10 or something, hopefully you can burn them out with a Stormed Burn spell. Collected Conjuring is a sorcery for 4. Exile the top 6 cards of your library. You may cast up to 2 sorcery cards with converted mana cost 3 or less from among them without paying their mana costs. So you get a Storm count from the Collected Conjuring and 2 more from the cards you can cast with it. Similarly, Spelltwine is a sorcery for 6. Exile target instant or sorcery card from your graveyard and target instant or sorcery card from an opponent's graveyard. Copy those cards. Cast the copies if able without paying their mana costs. So again, 3 casts for 1 card. Now Surge to Victory is a weird one. A sorcery for 6. It says exile target instant or sorcery card from your graveyard. Creatures you control get +X/+O until end of turn, where X is that card's mana value. Whenever a creature you control deals combat damage to a player this turn, copy the exiled card. You may cast the copy without paying its mana cost. So this one isn't capped at 3 spells. If you're doing... This would be a pretty weird deck, but if you're doing a token strategy where you have a lot of creatures getting in combat damage, the ceiling could be pretty high on how many cards you can cast with this. Mizzix's Mastery is a sorcery for 4. Exile target card that's an instant or sorcery from your graveyard. For each card exiled this way, copy it, and you may cast the copy without paying its mana cost, and it overloads for 8, which allows you to cast each instant and sorcery in your graveyard. This 8 mana is too much, though. I would not really recommend this one. Finale of Promise is a sorcery for X red. You may cast up to 1 target instant card and or up to 1 target sorcery card from your graveyard, each with mana value X or less, without paying their mana costs. If a spell cast this way would be put into a graveyard, exile it instead. If X is 10 or more, copy each of those spells twice. You may choose new targets for the copies. Now, there is a subtle wording difference here. The first half of the card lets you cast those cards from your graveyard. That does trigger Storm and the triggered ability on Ral. The second half, if you somehow manage to get 12 or more mana, that copies those spells. It does not cast the copy. A different direction we could take the deck is with a signature spell like Polymorph, a sorcery for 4. Destroy target creature. It can't be regenerated. Its controller reveals cards from the top of their library until they reveal a creature card. That player puts it onto the battlefield. And transmorgify is basically the same. A deck like this doesn't run low mana creatures in it at all. You're going to be packing the deck with Eldrazi and big stuff like that, so you can only hit an awesome creature. Actually, I prefer Divergent Transformations, though. It's 7 mana, but it's got Undaunted, so it costs 1 less for each opponent. It's pretty much a double polymorph. So either you trade up 2 of your tokens for 2 awesome creatures, or maybe you trade up 1 of your tokens for an awesome creature and you get rid of one of their best creatures, and hopefully they don't flip into something as good or better. It could happen, but probably you're going to be able to take out something great of theirs. If you enjoyed the video and you enjoy Oathbreaker, hit that like button. That helps out my channel a ton. I might try to do some Oathbreaker gameplay this summer, so if that sounds fun to you, hit that subscribe button. Thanks a lot for watching, and I'll see you next time.